What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Swanky Disc Golf. Today we are tier list ranking all of the best discs for beginners. We're going to be basing these off of how well we think they will be performing for beginners specifically. So we're going to be thinking about affordability, availability, quality of the plastic, price point, stuff like that. So bear in mind that, and also that this list is not exhaustive. This is our biggest list ever, and there's still way more discs out there than we have here. These are discs we're familiar with and that we really like for beginners. So let us know down below what we missed. So yeah, keeping that in mind. Also, if you're a beginner disc golfer looking for a new bag, we want to tell you a little bit about Renew Disc Golf, or if you're a returning disc golfer looking for a new bag that helps save the planet, Renew Disc Golf has the new Eco Pack, and it is made of recycled billboards and other recycled materials. It's lightweight, has plenty of storage, it's pretty darn sturdy, and also very comfortable. You can be sure to check out the link below or go to renewdiscgolf.com and check out the Eco Pack. And you can use code SWANKY for 10% off. I actually just used this bag in a tournament recently and I loved it. Fits more than enough of what I need, has really nice storage. We've done a review on this on our review channel. You can check that out as well. But big shout out to Renew Disc Golf for sponsoring this video. We also have a lot of our beginner discs in here that we'll show you. But let's go through the list. We're gonna start it out. I will start it out. First off, we have the Trash Panda Inner Core, which we do have one of those right here. The Inner Core is a great disc, also made of recycled materials, so it's saving the planet. It's a straight flyer. For some people, maybe it's more understable. For some people, it's a little bit maybe overstable. For me and most intermediate players, and I'd say even beginners, it's really straight. Maybe a little bit flippy or a little bit overstable if you're a very, very beginner, but it's a 2-speed, great disc. This is going in A tier. I'm going to put it in A tier. It's missing S tier because there's just a little bit, S tier is reserved for insane
Swanky.
stuff. Swanky
It's
tier.
reserved for Swanky.
So A tier for the Trash Panda Inner Core. Fantastic disc. Up next we have the Dune, and I'm going to let Reed take that one.
Yeah, this is interesting because I don't know that we've ever done a list with like mids and putters and drivers all from different manufacturers all on the same list. So there's going to be a lot of subjectivity here. The Dune is obviously the step up from the Inner Core. It's similar to me in its neutral to understable flight. But it's going to be a great step up from the Inner Core. I don't even know how to differentiate it from the Inner Core on this list because I think if you love the Inner Core, you should have a Dune. Like, you really should. It's a great step up. So I feel like it might go right beneath it in the B tier perhaps, just because you start with the Inner Core. The Inner Core is the perfect beginner putter to start with, and then we can move to the Dune once we've gotten a little bit of arm speed under our belts.
Yeah,
I think it's a good spot
they're
for
not
it.
in S tier is the price point a little bit. Obviously, it's kind of like craft drinks. Like, this is a creator who started from nothing in his garage and is making these discs still kind of on his own. So the price point's a little high for a putter and a mid, but I'm sure that'll come down as he progresses and gets bigger. That's the only thing, is the price is a little high, but you're paying partially for the sustainability factor, which is cool.
And definitely worth it.
And definitely worth it. They do fly well. I do bag both of them. I threw both of them in my tournament, and they flew really well for me. Got some birdies.
Got the birdies,
up
baby.
Next, we have the Sensei. Sensei is also definitely going in A tier. It is dirt cheap. It's outsourced to China. It's one of the few discs that I recommend to people regularly that is still like, I think it's Yukun Discs or whatever, Discmania's whole active line. It's hard to get some of those mid-ranges and drivers right, but the Sensei is dirt cheap. The plastic lasts a decent amount of time. You can putt with it. You can throw with it. You can get that starter pack for $15 where you get 3 discs, but a base plastic Sensei is going to run you maybe $8.
Yeah, so they're so cheap.
You really can't go wrong, especially as a beginner. They're super available. They fly straight to understable. Fantastic disc.
Yep.
Up next, we have the Maestro.
Is it the Maestro?
Oh, no, this is the Origin. Up next,
we have
the
Origin. The Origin, man, dude, so many of these could just be slapped into A tier, I feel like. A and B is going to be the biggest tiers for sure. I kind of want to put the Origin in A but below the Sensei, and I'm gonna do that because it is a little bit pricier. It's not as easily accessible as the Sensei, but as far as the disc and the performance of the disc, oh dude, the Origin is such a good mid-range for a beginner. It's gonna fly so far. Oh yeah, there's the Sensei. It's gonna fly so far for you, and as we've said in a lot of these videos, it will grow with you and it'll stay in your bag for that long term. So I think A tier is deserving.
Absolutely. We up next have the Essence. Now the Essence, we have one right here. This is a Meta Essence from our most recent tournament. This is Swanky Time Open Meta Essence. And this thing is incredible. I will say in the Meta Plastic, it's not very understable. If you get it in there more like Neo, normal plastic, it's going to fly a lot straighter for you, too understable. And it will beat in to be super understable. I feel like this is an S tier disc for sure.
Yes.
But if we're giving it for beginners specifically, it's tough for me because they are expensive now. They're much more expensive, and the flight varies so much on the plastic. Like this thing, I've thrown it, and this flies like a 7502 disc, like a T-Bird. It does. I've thrown it on forehand, backhand, and it does not want to turn right at all, which, you know, is what it is. These are still great discs to learn on. Plastic is so nice that it will last a really long time, so it's not a bad disc for beginners, but it is more expensive. Depending on the plastic you get, it's going to be more overstable than the numbers suggest. So I'm going to put it in B. I'm going to put it above the Dune, though.
Okay.
Yeah, B tier.
I see what you're saying. I understand. I don't like it.
I don't like it.
All right, what do we got next?
Next we have the FD, the new FD.
The new FD. Okay, so this is very similar to the Essence in a lot of ways. The new FD. The numbers would suggest that it would be slightly more overstable than the Essence, but in practice, you feel like they fly pretty similar.
Yeah.
I mean, what is this? 7601. It's
Yeah.
I think it's the 7601, and the Essence is 86-21. So you would think the Essence should be more understable, but as far as like price point is concerned, the FD is going to be very similar. Obviously, they're both manufactured by Discmania, and this is a little bit more overstable a disc. I mean, it's a little bit smaller, shorter in the rim, so that's good. It's got that going for it. I think I'm going to put it in C. And that's a hot take. Wow. I would definitely put
the old FD.
The old FD would be a little bit higher because it's a little bit more understable, better for beginners, but this one's a little bit more overstable.
The old FD might have been S tier.
The old FD is still rocking in my bag, unwavering.
Next we have the Discraft Scorch. This is an 11-speed that is supposed to be pretty flippy. Some of them are. I think most of them are. I got one of the like ledgestone runs that was not really flippy at all. It's a distance driver, and as a distance driver, it's pretty good for beginners, I would say. Again, Discraft, so it's going to be expensive. Some of these nicer plastics out of the big companies is going to be super expensive. I just personally, this is going to be just totally personally, I don't love the Scorch. I think there are way better 11-speed options out there. I'm going to put it in C below the FD. It is good for beginners, but is it like if it's a distance driver and I'm recommending it to beginners, it has to be so good. It has to be an incredible all-around, super available. Plastic is amazing, flies super straight or understable, and the Scorch is just a little too finicky for me. Putting it in C.
Gotcha. Yeah. I have very little experience with the Scorch outside of actually just, I think we reviewed it on this channel. That's the only time I've ever thrown it, so I'm glad you got that one. Avenger SS, is that next? This is a phenomenal beginner disc, first of all. 10-speed, super understable, a lot of people's first experience with a distance driver, I feel like. If you have done your research, it's a lot of people's first distance driver. If you haven't, you're pulling for a destroyer probably. I'm gonna go with an A tier. I think we put it above the Sensei. Yes, nice. I think that it costs because I'm not even sure they make this in a base plastic anymore.
They do. They still make the X line.
Oh, they do. An X line. Okay, so you can get the X line one. That one's not going to last you. I recommend getting an ESP Avenger SS or a Z. But this thing is awesome. It's going to teach you how to throw flip up lines, and I think it's a great beginner disc. I really do.
The X line Avenger SS comes in most of those Discraft starter packs, and they'll last you about a week. But they're great to learn with. Up next is the Thrasher, which I feel like is a much better understable distance driver than the Scorch. It's 12 speed. It's basically a Hades. Without the price point of a Hades, it's still a distance driver, and I think the 12 speed can be kind of uncomfortable for some people. So I'm going to put it in B tier, and I'm going to put it below the Essence. But the Thrasher is great. B tier is really good. D tier is dog toy. Just so you know, D tier stands for dog toy. None of those yet. Up next is the Heat.
The Heat is awesome as well. The Heat stands kind of for me like the Avenger SS, but it's also similar to the Essence. I think what you'll find with a Heat is a lot more consistent understability than the Essence across all plastics. It is, by its numbers, supposed to be more understable. I believe it's a 9-speed. Maybe it's an 8-speed. So. I can't remember.
I think it's an 8-speed.
Okay, maybe it's an 8-speed. Let's put it above the Essence in B tier. Just because of the competition around in that 9-8 speed range. There's a lot of options. The Avenger SS gets the nod to A because there's not as much competition for that slot in the 10 speed. So I like the Heat. The Heat's a great option for beginners if you're not already going with the SS.
There you go. Up next is the Hades, and the Hades is really, it's hard to not call it one of the best beginner drivers out there because it can get so flippy. You can get them super understable, but the plastic is so nice. It pretty much only comes in like ESP, I think Z or Big Z plastic, which those tend to get more overstable. But the ESP blend Paul Macbeth Hades is incredible, but it's got Paul Macbeth's name on it. So it's basically, I think it is a little better than the Thrasher, even though it's almost identical. I like the feel of it a little more. It's more understable, but it's like not twice as expensive, but it's much more expensive. So we're going to put it B tier, right below the Thrasher, because if you're a beginner and you're just trying out a first distance driver, instead of spending $25 to $30, depending on where you are on a Hades, spend $15 on a Thrasher. There you go.
Yep, that's just the cold hard truth that they don't want you to hear. Okay, the Hades below the Thrasher just for price. All right, what do we have here?
Up next is the MD1.
I really love the MD1.
Like
There's
the MD1.
So many neutral mids that I'm gonna be like S tier. But gosh, what do I do with this? It is more overstable than the Origin, but only just. So I think we have to put it below the Origin because they're going to be similarly priced. I think we put it in A tier, but below the Origin. Boom. They're like neck and neck. They're right there.
They're very similar discs.
Yeah, they're very similar.
But the Origin a little bit flippier. We have the Genius, which I think is genuinely one of the most understable discs on the planet, aside from some of the Prodigy discs they're coming out with now and the super lightweight stuff. But it doesn't have much glide either. It's a really weird disc. And I think for that reason it could turn off some beginners because you're going to throw it, and it does not do what a disc normally does. It does what it does really well. Simon bags one, a base plastic Genius, because it's just like, I think he throws it on like Skamahawk, Knifinghyzer, weird, crazy flip kind of thing.
Does Simon things with it.
It's like the most understable disc ever, and it's dirt cheap. So if it's like a very beginner where you're like
you don't own any
one
discs.
disc that you can throw today and see how you like it, it's great for that. If you're a beginner who's like, I want to get into disc golf and stay with it, it's not very good. It's not going to last you very long, and it's going to be weird. You're going to be like, this flies crazy. Unrealistic expectations. We're going to put it in C tier at the bottom. We're putting it at the bottom.
Yeah, I think that narrowly avoids D.
It's
for sure.
so cheap is what kind of saves it. Also, $8. And up next is the Maestro.
The Maestro also from Yakun, so it's got that similar affordability factor, but not nearly as understable. We have one here. This doesn't have the numbers on it, but I believe...
Don't show your phone number there.
Yeah, don't show my phone number. I believe it's like a 4-speed or a 5-speed overstable, and they feel really good in the hand, actually.
It's supposed to be overstable, but the base plastic one is not.
No. This one probably flies really straight. I actually am going to recommend this because I think you can learn how to fly like really straight introduction to 4 speeds. I'm going to put it really controversially above the Thrasher in B.
Wow.
Let's do that. It's
That's
so
really high up.
cheap. It's so cheap.
It is
and
cheap.
And it's available in base and premium, both cheap. And I think it's a good mold.
Yeah, the premium plastic a little more overstable and still like $10. $10 for premium and like $8 for base.
You can't beat that.
It was one of my first mid ranges and I liked it a lot. I love the stamp too. It's like my favorite stamp. Up next is the greatest disc of all time, and it's the Buzz.
The Buzz.
The Buzz is not going to be the best beginner disc in the world though, because that is a really cool Buzz right there.
Buzz.
Shout out to Foundation Disc Golf for hooking us up with the Dark Yuli Buzz. Not understable, very straight, but if you're a very new beginner, it will be more overstable. Once you get into the intermediate range, I think it's the best disc ever. I think. Yeah, I genuinely believe that. But for beginners, we're going to give it B tier, and we're going to put it, I might even put it below the Dune because it's definitely more overstable. The plastic's going to last you forever, no matter what plastic you get it in, pretty much. But it is more overstable, and some of the Buzzes are pretty expensive. Although you can get a Z-line basic Buzz for probably $15.
Yeah, you can get them for $15-16.
But yeah, next is the Buzz SS.
The Buzz SS. I mean, the Buzz SS...
That could be S tier.
Foundation always calls the Comet the People's Buzz. The Buzz SS is the People's Buzz. And I think we have to put it in A tier.
Yeah.
Along with all these other neutral mids. I think you put it above the Origin in that it's generally... I don't know that it's true. It's probably about the same price as the Origin. But the Buzz SS will just get you into that... I don't even know that that's true either. I'm gonna put it here because I think it's the same sort of flight as the Origin. It might be a tiny bit less expensive, and I just really love the feel of it in the hand. So it's a little bit of subjectivity coming out. I think the Buzz S is a little better than the Origin.
And SS stands for super straight, so it's like
it's super straight.
It's super straight. It's not necessarily meant to be super understable. It's meant to be super straight, and that's what it does.
That is what it
does. And it's a good gateway drug into the Buzz. And the next one is the Meteor. There's so many Discraft mid-ranges, guys, that are good for beginners. There's only, I think, 3 on this list. So let us know what we're missing down below. But we have the Buzz SS, and the Meteor. The Meteor is going to be your, like, really good beginner mid-range out of Discraft. It's super flippy, super shallow rim. And I do like it. Personally, I don't love how I like a shallower rim, but this is, like, too shallow. Like, your fingertips are on it. For me, but if it's like a child, who's just getting into disc golf, they're gonna love it. It's gonna fit their hand really great. So I'm gonna put it in B tier, but I'm putting it at the very bottom of B tier.
Below the Buzz.
And B tier, like I said, good disc. Not my favorite. I think the Buzz SS is gonna be way better. It's a little bit straighter. You can learn more with it. Yeah. Up next is gonna be the DD from Discmania. The new DD.
Yeah, the new DD.
You have one of those.
Yeah, we do. This is an 11 speed, right?
Yeah, it's an 11 speed.
I think that this is a great 11 speed alternative to a Thrasher or a Hades, but very similar. So I think that we're going to put it above those for sure. It flies very understable pretty much out of the gate. It's great for forehands as well. If you're a forehand guy that normally torques over on a nuke or something, then the DD is going to help you learn how to get that flat release. And bomb. It absolutely bombs. Let's put it right above the Maestro.
Putting it above the Maestro in B tier.
I like it right there. I think it's the best distance driver on the list so far.
I agree. Up next is the Passion. And I used to think the Passion was like one of the greatest discs ever. I still kind of do. But it was because I bought a first run Passion when they very first came out. And they were more understable then. And they were less stiff, I feel like. They were a little bit gummier. I can't really confirm that because I only had one. I threw it all the time, and it was flippy. It was a hyzer flip, turned to the right disc for me, and it was gummy, and I loved it. And every Passion I've had since then was not like that at all. It was a little bit and maybe that's what they wanted. Maybe that's what Discraft wanted. It's a little bit stiffer, a little bit straighter, not overstable, but not understable. I don't love the new Passions, personally, and they are super expensive. So I'm actually going to put this in B tier also, I think, because it is a good disc. It flies super straight. A lot of people love it. I might even put it in C tier, honestly, at the very top of C tier, because it's just so expensive. And it's not understable anymore. It's not very understable.
Yeah.
And it's
great disc.
Great
if this
disc.
was like an intermediate list, it'd be at
If
the
this
top.
was an intermediate list, this would be a very different list.
Yeah,
But
very different
for
list.
beginners, if you're trying to get a passion, go get a heat.
Right.
Instead, it's a lot cheaper. It's going to fly more understable for you.
All right,
Grace.
so into the Grace. This is the most overstable distance driver on the list so far, so it just can't be that high. Like, again, on an intermediate list, this thing would go crazy. One of my furthest flying discs. The Grace is awesome. It's a staple in Luke's bag as well. I think that it's got to be in C tier though. Like it can't even outrank the Scorch. You know,
was just in our top 5, but that was based on you guys.
Yeah, that was according to Disc Golfers, not according to us. I think we put it right there, right
at
there.
the bottom or
No,
under Scorch.
Under Scorch.
Under Scorch.
It's just like it's a phenomenal disc, and you'll grow with it. But at first, it's nothing more than a chip. It acts like a Firebird for a brand new player, you know, and it's just not super informative for a beginner. I'm just gonna put it there.
Nice. And up next, this is the Jester Discs Peace Train, actually, which is also the Mint Discs Lobster. We just started throwing the Peace Train recently, and they're really cool. I personally like the marketing on them. They're going to be a little bit more expensive because they're manufactured by MVP. So both the Lobster and the Jester Discs are probably going to run you $20 to $25. But they are the perfect beginner mid-range in my opinion.
It's so good, yeah.
They're not too shallow. They're not too deep. They're not too flippy. They're not too stable. They're straight flyers to flippy. So either one, the Lobster or the Peace Train. This is the special stamped Halloween Peace Train, which I just think that's sick. That's kind of why it's on the list. But I think they have a few of these left if you guys want to check them out and go check out Jester Disc Golf, I believe is the website, jesterdiscgolf.com. They have a couple. There was only a couple hundred made, I think.
Is it 100?
100. There was only 100 made, and they still have a couple left. So go check those
grab
out.
one.
Fantastic. And they're manufactured by MVP, so it's the best plastic in the world. Yeah. It might be a Paradox mold, low-key, that they just
something similar to
rebrand.
That. Yeah.
So yeah, really good disc, going up in A tier, and I think I'll put it above the MD1. I might put it pretty high because it is the Lobster,
do it.
and the Lobster is so good.
I would do the same thing.
I think I'm gonna put it at the top of A tier actually because it's so good.
I think
really, really good.
I mean, it remains to be seen on the rest of this list, but if money's no object, I'm getting a Peace Train.
Oh yeah.
If you're a beginner, except for the price, it would be S tier.
Yes.
That's what's holding it back.
Super good.
Okay, next is the Sapphire. Man, the Sapphire, if y'all watched our most recent video, wow, that was an overstable Sapphire we got.
Beefy.
It was so beefy.
I was confused.
I have never thrown a Sapphire except for these kind of style reviews for the channel. So that is like my most recent experience with one, and so I can't shake it. I'm like, dude, put that thing in dog toy. Like, don't let a beginner touch that disc. But I'm sure, like, there's so much love for the Sapphire. There's got to be a reason.
We got an overstable one. They also sell it often in like the retro burst plastic. Is a very common thing. It's like in their beginner sets and stuff like that. And so I don't know, but the premium Opto whatever we had was, I mean, it flew like an Onyx.
Yeah, let's put it below the Essence in the B tier and just trust that the people know what they're talking about, because mine was, the one we threw was not good.
No. And up next is the Diamond, and the Diamond is so good.
So good.
Like, people say effortless distance a lot, and usually it's 100% cap. It is just not true at all. But the Diamond genuinely is like, if this is your first distance driver, you will be able to throw farther than all of your other discs. It's just how it works. I don't know why. I think it's the glide, the lightweight. We're going to put it right below. Might even go, I think this has to go above. It's
definitely cheaper.
It's designed for beginners. It's cheaper. You can get it in plastics from like their kind of, I don't know what they call their retro burst plastic, gold plastic maybe, something like that, all the way up to Orbit plastic and everything in between. And it's super flippy and amazing.
Diamond
is A tier. Up next is the Pure.
The Pure, oh man, not a ton of putters on this list. And the Pure is probably the most overstable putter so far on the list. But that really doesn't play into it, especially for putters.
The Pure's not very overstable.
I mean, maybe it's just straight 3301 or something. I'm not sure. Either way, I think it's a great disc, and you can get it in all kinds of plastics. And this one is super sick. This moonshine one. I don't know. Like, I think I've got to rank it below the Sensei though, just because the Sensei is so cheap. I think we could put the Pure towards the top of B, like above the. Put it right at the top of B. Why not?
Top of B.
It's a great disc.
I agree. It's great. I would put it in B tier. That's a good spot. Good to putt with. Good to throw. Not to eat. The Fuse is next, and it is the beginner disc that is taking the world by storm, thanks to Jonathan over at Latitude 64. Shout out, Jonathan and Johannes. The Fuse is incredible. It's also kind of like the Diamond. I don't know what they're doing over at Latitude 64 to put the crazy glide on these. But the Fuse is also relatively like throw it on hyzer, and it'll flip up and fly straight or turn a little bit if you have more arm speed. But great beginner disc. And you can get them in cheap plastics. Trilogy in general does a really good job with cheap plastic. I'm going to put it below the Peace Train, though, because I think the Peace Train / Mint Discs Lobster is incredible. I genuinely think it's the best beginner mid-range out there. So good.
Yeah, it's great.
Up next is the Escape, also known as the Escape.
The Dynamic Disc Escape. We've got one of these. That's one of the Supreme ones. Man, that one flies so far and so effortless distance. Like, man, that thing is so nice. It's a little bit more like, this is the first in this category of like neutral flying 9 speeds that are going to get big S flight. I don't know what to call these discs, but it's almost like they're baby distance drivers.
Yeah.
You know, like these 9 speeds that are -1, 2, like they're distance drivers for small hands, or they're distance drivers for lower arm speeds. Like, so for a beginner, maybe a 9 speed should be your distance driver, and maybe should be the Escape. So I'm gonna put it in A tier above the Sensei, but below the Avenger SS.
A tier. I agree.
Yeah, I love
haven't. The Supreme Escape is the only one that I've thrown, and it's pretty darn flippy. Like, it is not a 9.5 -1, 2. It's like a -2.
Yeah, they're pretty
-3.
understable.
So yeah, great disc there. Up next is the Wave. The Wave, people were freaking out that the Wave was not on our top 5 list.
And I was
that's
like,
not
it's
us,
your
it's
fault.
you guys, yeah.
You should have voted for it.
The Wave is probably one of the only MVP drivers, aside from like the Insanity. It's the only MVP distance driver that I like. I don't know what it is about. Anytime the overmold gets sharp, it feels weird to me. And I've heard that from other people as well.
A lot of people feel that way.
The MVP mid-ranges and putter game, crazy.
Yeah.
But the drivers, I don't love. The Insanity is an exception. The Wave is an exception. And we're going to put the Wave in A, but I'm not crazy about it like some people are. I'm putting it below.
You said the bottom of A.
I'm putting it at the bottom of A.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
And up next, this is...
That's a Crave, right?
That's a Crave, yeah.
Yeah. The Crave is a 6.5 speed fairway driver that's very neutral flying. That tends to be a little on the understable side, so it's kind of like a slower Essence. Man, where to put this baddie? I think this one's great, and maybe even like more consistently understable than say an Essence is. I think you could put it in between the Heat and the Essence. Let's go ahead and do that. And I think the Heat is a little bit cheaper on the regular than the Crave. Not to say the Crave's expensive. Like, those are both pretty manageably affordable discs. But yeah, I think that's a good spot for it. It is really straight, and Will absolutely loves his Crave.
Will does. A lot of people do. Crave is great. Next is the Fierce. This is another Discraft disc that I wrestle with because I love it, but you will not find it for less than $25 for a putter. So expensive. Even in the base plastic, it's like $25 for a putter, and that is so difficult for me to actually go out and tell someone like, yes, the Fierce is that much better than the $8 Sensei. As a beginner who is maybe just getting into the sport, as a beginner, if you're like, I'm here to stay, I want this disc to match my bag. Go get the Fierce. They look awesome, and they fly great. They really do. Base and premium plastic, they're incredible. So I can't say it's a bad disc, but the price is crazy, and that affects
the
beginner disc golfers who are not so sure how many discs they want to buy just yet. So, and it's also, I think it flies pretty similar to the Pure, maybe a little bit more understable. So I'm going to put it in B tier. I'm going to put it just below the Essence.
Yeah, that, for all you Fierce fans, that is generous. Because that has a shot at dog toy if I'm ranking it. It's just like, it's so much more expensive than a putter that you should be able to purchase a putter for. It's just unbelievable. So, anyway.
And there's not a ton of plastics. Just like 2 plastics,
yeah.
and they're both $25.
Yeah, it's so unattainable.
This next one's the Hex.
The Hex is a phenomenal disc. Disc of the year, whatever, it came out 2022.
Yep. Well, our top discs for 2023 coming soon. To look out.
Yeah, the Hex is a staple in my bag right now. I think it's slightly more intermediate than beginner. Not that I think it fits more understable than a Buzz. A lot of these discs under here, probably a lot like an MD1, like super similar to that. But I just like it so much more than an MD1. So I'm going to rank it as such. It's more... Golly, how do I even put this somewhere?
A tier above the MD1?
A tier above the Escape. Let's put it there. Not that there's really anything particular. I just want it higher. So I'm going to put it there. Man, it's so close to S tier. If I could give you guys one of our fishing hexes or something that's like perfect, then I would say like that's S tier for sure. But some of them are more overstable.
This one I think is going in S tier anyway, so it's okay. We have the Paradox, which is the understable hex. Yeah. And like I said, the overmold in mid-ranges and putters feels so good. Yeah. And the Paradox is the perfect amount of flippy, in my opinion. And I know pros who are throwing the Paradox still because they can throw it on like this much hyzer and watch it flip up and turn, or just throw it softer. It's S tier. It's the perfect beginner mid-range. I did say I think the Lobster or the Jester Discs Peace Train is the best, but I take it back. It's the Paradox.
I think you're right. And
Which maybe the Peace Train is the Paradox.
It is not outside the realm of possibility. I think the Paradox is more understable than the Peace Train. But it's also cheaper.
Yes.
In general, and the Axiom ones, you can find these misprints for really cheap as well. So that's you can do that with a lot of these, but that's a plus.
There you go. First S tier disc, the Paradox.
I had to do it for one.
Armadillo.
This is a weird one. 1-speed disc.
S tier. So good. If Josiah was here, there wouldn't even be
instant S tier. I don't know if it's S tier, but it is super fun. And it's just it's not going to suit all beginners' game. That's why it's like very kind of niche, I think, between this and some other 1-speeds coming up on this list. This is just the first of a few. I think we could slide this into A tier somewhere, though. I do think this is, for beginners, this is my favorite of the 1-speeds. We'll say that. So same. I'm going to put it below the Sensei. Right there.
Below the Sensei.
Yeah.
Good choice. Armadillo, great choice. The Leopard. Up next, we pretty much have the starter set. The starter set. The Innova starter set. They used to, I think you can still buy them in some Walmarts.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely can get them at like Dick's Sporting Goods. They're everywhere.
Academy Sports.
They're at your local Academy or Play It Again or whatever you have.
Yeah.
The first one's the DX Leopard, and I don't know what to say. It's most people's first disc ever. The Leopard, the AVR, and the Shark. This is probably 7 out of 10 disc golfers' first discs they ever touched.
Yeah.
And I think the first one I ever threw was the Shark. The issue with DX Classic is it's not going to last you very long. If you actually play like even 1 round a week, a full round of 18 holes, it's not going to last you very long.
Yeah.
That's my only issue with it. Other than that,
they make it in Star, I think.
They do make
a Star Leopard.
Let's judge the entire Leopard and not just
the DX
Leopard.
They do make a Star Leopard.
Judging the whole Leopard, it's an A tier disc for sure. And I'm going to put it, I like it more than the Avenger SS for a beginner driver because it's 7-speed. It'll kind of teach you how to hold a sharp rim disc and how to throw a driver. So it's,
That being said, we do not recommend the starter set to be your starter set. There's so many options out there. Maybe we can do a tier list for those sometime.
Yeah, for starter sets. Let us know if we should do a starter set tier list.
Starter set tier list.
AVR is next.
Okay, AVR next. The AVR is like the putter. If this is the starter set, the AVR is the putter.
It is the putter.
Dirt cheap, readily accessible, and it's just a great putter. Like, so many people are putting with AVRs. So many pros have and still are putting with AVRs. Like, it's a great putter for all skill levels. So we have to put it, I think I'm putting it as the highest putter. I think we put it right above the inner core.
Which is
that red one, right?
The red one, yeah.
Yeah, I think we put it right there. Boom, below the fuse. I think the AVR is amazing.
Yeah, I would not put it above the Sensei personally, but that's a good choice. That's fine.
They're cheaper somehow than the Sensei.
Cheaper.
They're so cheap. They're like $6.
I think the Sensei you'll get more use out of.
Yeah, probably.
Personally. But
probably.
The Shark is next, and it's the same deal. They do make, I think they make Halo Sharks, actually, if I'm thinking correct. Didn't they make like a Kona Panis one?
I think they do. And they make Shark 3s in Champion as well.
Shark 3s, wow.
But that's not what we're judging.
The Shark I'm putting in B tier, though, just because I don't like it personally. This is a whole personal thing. And if I'm recommending a mid-range to the beginner, I'm way more likely to recommend something from Discmania or a Buzz SS or Paradox. There's so many good beginner mid-ranges out there that are cheap that I'm like, I can't recommend the Shark above certain things. I'm definitely putting it above the Fierce, though. Yeah, B tier above the Fierce. Up next is the Sail from DGA, which I know where I would put this, but it's not my turn.
I do not like the Sail.
We do have a Sail right here.
We
Katrina
have
Allen Sail. We also have a
Shark.
Shark. I didn't show a Shark.
Vortex?
It's a Sail.
This is a Sail.
It's a Shark.
I do not like this disc. Nothing against DGA. I like lots of DGA discs, but I do not like this one.
The Sail confuses the heck out of me. I'm sorry, Josh from Overthrow. I know they love the Sail over there. I do not like the Sail. It's somehow
Is it our first dog toy?
It's somehow both super understable and super overstable and super expensive.
Do it.
Like the number, it's your turn, but the numbers on this disc, I don't know, I can't remember what they are, but it's something like -3
It's
turn.
an 11 speed.
I'm pretty sure it's -3 turn, and it does not do that. We tried to give this away.
No, it's -5 or something.
It's something actually crazy. Where we tried to give this away during our free store video. You guys can go check that out. We opened up a disc golf store and gave everything away. Like, people would just walk up, ask to buy something, and be like, you can actually keep it. And somebody tried to throw this, and they were like, oh, that's perfect. I have a low arm speed. It's like -4 or 5. And they threw it, and they were like, what in the world? It does not fly that way at all.
It doesn't fly that way, yeah. I think we put it in D.
I got the price tag on it, $24.
Well, that's the Katrina Allen one.
It is the Katrina Allen one. I was going to say, that's a good deal for that. Let's put it in dog toy.
Let's put it in dog toy. I'm sorry, DGA, but yeah, that's just what it is.
Which is hilarious because I know people will love this. I know Josh from Overthrow loves it, but everyone I've experienced who just unbiasedly picks it up and tries it, they're like, "What the heck is?" It'll like flip really fast, and then it has like a 2 fade though, so it'll come right back. It's weird, and I've had some that are like roller discs. I bought one that's a roller disc, and then I bought one that is like a destroyer. It's really weird.
Just like as a beginner, don't go buy that and ruin your disc golf experience. Go buy the Paradox.
Exactly. The Glitch is next, and the Glitch is an S tier disc. I might even I'm putting it at the top.
Boom! Wow.
And
that is crazy.
Here's the reason: is because there's so many reasons. I actually don't love the Glitch. I'm never gonna throw it in a tournament personally, but of course, so many people do. I played an entire tournament using only the Glitch where I played terrible. It was like right when the Glitch came out and I'd never thrown it before. It was really unwise.
It was unwise.
Jay Milley, Disc Golf, shout out, did a Glitch only tournament and he did a lot better with it because it's like his favorite disc in the world. But Simon Lizotte has used this on tournament coverage several times. It's great for like flicking your putts, and watching it glide out there. But the reason this is the best beginner disc ever is because I personally have experience with like taking a beginner out and giving them one disc. And you're just like, just throw this, have fun with it. And it flies like a Frisbee. It flies like a normal Frisbee, and it's multi-use. So if you're just a disc golfer and this is like your first round of disc golf, you can buy one of these and then take it home and throw it with your friends or with your kids or with your dog.
Not dog toy.
It's designed for multi-use, and it's great. The plastic's really nice. This one's a little warped because it's at my car, but it's still pretty durable. I think it's the best beginner disc. It's a great gateway into disc golf. And like I said, I know like a lot of discs could be multi-use, but this one specifically does have kind of a softer rim. You can play catch with it. Super glidey. S tier.
Yep.
Up next is the Zeta's Moon.
The Zeta's Moon, and I get the other...
the CD1 in general. But
yeah, the Distance Driver 9-speed.
This is a new disc out of Discmania, is part of the reason why it's on here. It's kind of like an Escape, but slightly more overstable.
As far as like this and the Escape, to me and me throwing it, they were pretty much the same disc. I think you put it right above the Escape.
Above the Escape.
Because as a mold, I really like the C-line ones as well. So I think just sits right above it. But they're very, very similar.
Yeah. If you're an intermediate player, these discs are fantastic. They're like they would be S tier, intermediate to advanced so good, player.
Yeah. The bottom of A tier is like the top of S tier for
literally
intermediate.
We're down to our last 2 discs, guys. Don't forget to subscribe. Again, let us know what we missed down below. If there's any beginners out there, be sure to jump in the comments, and you'll see tons of recommendations that are thrown out there very kindly, I'm sure. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to support us, you can check out Renew. Use code SWANKY for 10% off. You can also check out Flippy Disc Golf if you like what we're wearing. These are our new hoodies and t-shirts. Check out Flippy Disc Golf. Use code STAYSWANKY for 10% off. And of course, hit the subscribe button.
Yeah.
Final 2 discs. We have the Falk. You have to be careful saying that, but it's
Falk.
the Falk. This is a K1 soft Falk. This is the beginner Escape.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's 9.6, -2.1. More glide, more understable, super good, super expensive. All of Castaplast is super expensive. For one reason or another, they're manufactured in Europe. Maybe they're cheaper in Europe. I don't know. Maybe not, because sometimes that's not how that works. But super expensive is the downside. But this is a really good first, I would call it. I mean, it's a 9-speed, so it's more of a fairway control. But for a beginner, if you're trying to be like, really want to move into distance drivers and ready, pick up the Falk, throw this. It's going to be like an Escape, except for maybe a little bit more understable. It's super expensive, though, but I'm still going to put it in A tier, and I'm going to put it above the Zeta's Moon, because we got our 9 speeds right there.
Yep, that's our 9
I think this is the best one.
Gotcha.
Pick up a Falk.
Yeah,
super
pick
good.
up a Falk.
The last disc, you know what to do, Reed. Go ahead and put it in dog toy.
We'll see you in the next one.
Let's go.
Stay swanky.
Perfect. People are going to be so mad.